The day my wife told me she was pregnant should have been the happiest day of my life. Instead, it became the day everything I believed about love, marriage, and trust started falling apart. If you're watching this, don't judge me too quickly. I loved my wife more than anyone I've ever loved. And that's exactly why I never saw the lies hiding right in front of me. My name is Ethan. I'm 35 years old. And until a few months ago, I honestly believed I had the perfect marriage. Emily and I had been together for 6 years. We weren't rich, but we had built a beautiful life together inside our dream home. We laughed together, traveled together, and spent years trying to have a baby. Every failed pregnancy test broke us a little more, especially Emily. So when she walked into our bedroom one Saturday morning holding a positive pregnancy test with tears streaming down her face, I completely lost it. I picked her up, hugged her so tightly she laughed through her tears, and for the first time in years, I thanked God for answering our prayers. I called my parents that same afternoon. We started talking about baby names, decorating the nursery, and everything I dreamed about becoming a father. Looking back now, I wish I had paid attention to what happened over the next few days. Emily suddenly became strangely protective of her phone. She never left it on the kitchen counter anymore. She even started taking it into the shower with her. At first, I laughed about it. Pregnancy hormones, I told myself. Then she canceled 2 doctor's appointments, saying the clinic had rescheduled them. When I offered to go with her to the next visit, she smiled, but something about that smile felt forced. "I'll go alone this time," she whispered. "It's just routine." I wanted to believe her because that's what husbands do. We trust the people we love. But one evening, while Emily was upstairs taking a bath, her phone lit up on the coffee table for the first time in weeks. I wasn't trying to snoop until I saw the message flash across the screen. "He still believes it's his?" My heart stopped. Before I could even unlock the phone, Emily came rushing down the stairs, grabbed it out of my hand, and looked at me with a fear I'd never seen in her eyes before. In that exact moment, I knew my marriage had just changed forever. Emily snatched the phone out of my hand so fast it almost fell onto the floor. For a second, neither of us spoke. She stared at me with wide, terrified eyes, then forced an awkward smile that didn't fool me for a second. "It's just one of the girls from work," she said, locking the screen before slipping the phone into her pocket. "They're joking around." I nodded, but inside something had already broken. That message kept replaying in my head all night. "He still believes it's his?" Those 6 words were enough to destroy every ounce of peace I had left. The next morning, I told Emily I had an important meeting and left the house as usual. Instead, I parked 2 streets away and waited. About 20 minutes later, she walked outside, looked around nervously, and drove away. I followed her from a distance. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely hold the steering wheel. She didn't drive to the hospital. She didn't meet a friend. She pulled into the parking lot of a quiet cafe on the other side of town. Then I watched a man step out of a black SUV and wrap his arms around my pregnant wife. They hugged like people who had been in love for a long time. I felt sick. I wanted to run over there and demand answers, but something told me to stay calm. I needed the truth, not just a fight. They spent nearly an hour together before driving to a nearby apartment building. I never followed them inside. I already knew enough to realize my marriage wasn't what I thought it was. That afternoon, after Emily returned home, she acted completely normal. She kissed me, asked how my meeting went, and even showed me baby furniture she wanted to order online. I smiled back, pretending nothing had happened. But the man she married was gone. That night, while she slept beside me, I quietly opened our laptop. Emily had forgotten to log out of her email. Buried inside a hidden folder was another email account I had never seen before. My hands shook as I opened it. There were hundreds of messages between her and the same man from the cafe. Hotel reservations, romantic photos, plans for a future together. Then I found the message that stole every breath from my body. Emily had written just 3 weeks earlier, "There is no baby. I only needed him to believe it until we figure everything out." I stared at those words for what felt like forever. The pregnancy test, the tears, the nursery, every dream I'd built over the last few weeks had been nothing more than part of a carefully planned lie. I didn't confront Emily that night. I didn't scream, break anything, or even let her know I had discovered the truth. Instead, I quietly forwarded every email, every photo, and every message to a private account before closing the laptop, exactly the way I had found it. The next morning, I smiled over breakfast while she talked excitedly about baby names. And for the first time in my life, I realized I was sitting across from a complete stranger. Over the following week, I hired a private investigator, gathered every piece of evidence I could find, and contacted a divorce attorney. Then I waited. Emily had already planned a small family dinner where she intended to officially celebrate the pregnancy with both our families. She had no idea that I had plans of my own. The night finally arrived. Everyone was laughing, hugging us, and congratulating us on becoming parents. My mother even handed Emily a tiny pair of baby shoes she had knitted herself. Watching that nearly broke me. When everyone finished eating, I stood up and raised my glass. Emily smiled proudly, expecting a heartfelt speech. Instead, I connected my laptop to the living room TV. The first image appeared, one of Emily kissing another man outside the cafe. The room fell completely silent. Then came the hotel reservations, the romantic messages, and finally the email that changed everything. "There is no baby." I only needed him to believe it until we figure everything out. You could actually hear people gasping. My mother's eyes filled with tears. Emily's father couldn't even look at her. Emily stood there frozen, crying and begging me to stop. But there was nothing left to say. The truth was already speaking for itself. She admitted everything. The affair, the fake pregnancy, the lies. She claimed she never meant for it to go this far, but every lie had been a choice. I quietly placed my wedding ring on the table, looked her in the eyes one last time and said, "You didn't just fake a pregnancy. You buried the future we were supposed to have together." Then, I walked out without looking back. 3 months later, our divorce was finalized. The man she cheated with left her not long after everything became public, and suddenly the life they had planned together disappeared. As for me, I sold the house, started over in another city, and slowly learned how to trust myself again. Looking back now, I don't think the biggest pain was discovering the affair. The biggest pain was realizing I had spent weeks loving a child that never existed. But if there's one thing this experience taught me, it's this. Sometimes the most painful truth will save you from living the rest of your life inside someone else's lie.